What's going on, YouTube? Smaller here, and this time we are here with the my own full thoughts and sort of review of Dragon Age. This is going to be as spoiler free as possible, but fair warning, there might be some minor spoilers. First, let's just kind of go down the line. For the most part, if you watched my other video, my early thoughts video, most, if not pretty much all of the complaints that I had from the beginning of the game still exist all the way throughout the entire game. Just some of them not as much. Maybe they're not as prevalent, or some of the good stuff that was already good just got even better. I would say like my first 8 to 10 hours of VEILGUARD, I would have given the game like a 5 out of 10. By the end of the game, or let me even specifically say this, the last third of the game, I would say, is like at least an 8 out of 10. Some parts, a 9 out of 10. Maybe even higher than that. So, first I wanted to comment on the combat of the game. Keep in mind, for this playthrough, I had played a warrior with a Reaper specialization, and I struggled with the combat. Not struggled in terms of difficulty, but I struggled very heavily in terms of enjoyment and fluidity and all of that. And a large part of that comes down to the camera. The camera in the game, and this is true, at least while I played it, the entire game, the camera in this game sucks. Okay? The camera really, really sucks. When it comes to using your melee weapon, the camera kind of follows the weapon. So when you swing, you swing right to left, the camera kind of moves right to left, and it moves forward because you're kind of moving forward. So the camera kind of moves like this, which is really jarring. And then when you finish, it kind of like resets, and then the camera moves back. It does that constantly, but it doesn't really do that when you use your abilities. So over time, I kind of just got used to it, so that didn't really bother me too much anymore. And I want to say once I pretty much, and unfortunately this is kind of like later in the game, like probably like, you have to put in a lot of hours into the game, but once you reach your specialization, and probably the first chunk of your specialization, wow, I can't talk, specialization, it starts to feel really, really good. And I've heard a lot of things from other people as well, that's kind of how it is with other classes and everything, so I do think that's kind of a problem. It should feel better earlier on. My issues with the camera, just in general, have to do with the exploration, traversal, things like that. I couldn't find any way to solve the issue of I'm just running in a straight line, and sometimes just out of nowhere the camera will just move on its own, left, right, up, down, all over the place. It'll just move on its own. A lot of the times it would do that for any kind of thing I can interact with. Loot, interactables, or like notable locations that the game wants me to see. But it would do it even after I've already interacted with it. Kind of thing. That was always problematic. My other big issue with the game, and I think a lot of people have this issue, is the dialogue writing. A lot of the dialogue writing in this game is very poor. I would say, with the exception of 1 or 2 characters, the voice acting, like the voice actors do a phenomenal job. I think they're great. But sometimes like the lines they're given are not great. The further you get in the game, it gets better. It gets better in the sense that there's less bad writing and more good writing. Like the ratio, it just gets better. But the bad dialogue still exists. The 2 characters that I think that are just bad in general. One of the characters is voice acted pretty monotone almost the entire game. I kind of do think it fits their character, but I don't know. Now a lot of people are going to probably wonder, okay, but what about Tosh? Right. Tosh is this game's, it's that character. I don't want to get too much into it, but this is what I will say. I think it is completely fine and completely okay to have that type of thing in this game. However, the developers, one, should know it is an extremely hot and controversial topic. So it's going to be mega focused. There's going to be an ultra magnifying glass. It's going to be mega focused that people are going to like tear this thing apart if it's even minuscule bad. She is, in my opinion, the worst written character in the game, the worst voice acted character in the game, and this is the thing that I think that bothers me the most about Tosh, is all the other characters in the game speak with mannerisms and dialogue and everything like that that fitting to the world of Dragon Age, the Dragon Age universe. Tosh talks like she was plucked out of 2024, some 2024 high school, and dropped in. That's literally how Tosh talks. To me, it doesn't make any sense. If they would have made Tosh, and here's the thing, that's also about the character, the whole character arc. Being Kunari, right? But being raised under a different culture than the Kunari's culture. And then, the whole identity thing. That can actually be some very good and interesting story, conflictions with the character, and that could be some amazing stuff. But the way that they did it, I feel like was just... Contrast that with pretty much all the other characters. Nev is the other character I didn't really like. But I don't know. Didn't really like Nev. I think from a story perspective, Davrin and Emmerich were chef's kiss. I think were the best companions in terms of story, in terms of utility and gameplay wise. I mean, Lucanus. Lucanus is the best dude there. Lucanus is a badass. But story wise, Emmerich and Davrin, I think Davrin takes the cake. Harding's is up there as well. I think Ballara had some very good heartstrings type her companion questing and everything. But okay. The last bad thing really that I want to talk about on the game is, in my opinion anyway, it's just the whole overarching thing of it being an RPG. This game is not an RPG. This game is an action RPG. Or an action game with light RPG mechanics. The skill system is fine. For me, it is the inventory system, the loot system, the merchant system, all of those things that tie together. It sucks. Now, part of this may be due to the fact that this game was originally being developed as a multiplayer live service game. And that honestly makes a lot of sense if that's, kind of why they kind of just stuck with what they have. The faction system, is fine. I that could work just the way it is. I think the upgrade system with like actual upgrades and the enchantments, I think is fine. It's you can't sell gear. You have no stash, and you upgrade gear by either levels or rarity or rank or whatever by just getting another piece of the exact same duplicate gear. And that makes it go from, a white item to a green item, green to a blue, blue to purple, etc. I really don't like that. I think that's terrible. Also, this isn't really a negative, just a personal preference, but I think the unique items in the game were not good enough. I think the uniques needed to be a little bit better. I think if you could have either upgraded them or something, maybe had, because some of the uniques, I'm like, that's a cool ability, like thing that's on it, but otherwise it doesn't do anything. Regular items were much better. Now, let's talk about the good. The overall main story. This game goes from like a 7 to an 8 to a 9. This game finishes really strong. I would say the final third of the game, I think, is just a solid 8 to a 9 out of 10. But when we're talking about the story, specifically, the main story, I mean, this might be, some of the best. This is up there with Rebirth and Metaphor for me this year. It just ramped up and got better and better and better. And this is also true for pretty much all of the companion quests. And so this is why, and that even is true for Tosh. Just Tosh's character as a whole, just the characters, but the quests were actually pretty good. The stories in this game, like the story, not the dialogue, but the stories. I thought the stories in this game were incredible. The world art design, I think, is incredible. I think it's incredible. The character models, however, look terrible. And it's not that they look terrible. It's that they're of a different art style. It's like two clashing art styles overlapping. This is kind of an extreme example, but it would be like if you took a Pixar movie, you took the characters from a Pixar movie and put them in a real life movie. And like all the characters in a movie, a real life movie, but they were animated like a Pixar movie. It just looks weird. That's kind of how this game felt to me the whole time. Obviously not to that extent, but it's kind of how it is. So I would have liked a little bit more of that. I would have also liked a little bit more gore. Dragon Age has always been kind of gory. I didn't mind so much that the overall tone of the game was kind of lighthearted, even though there's the overall event of what's happening is some bad shit. I thought it was fine, because I can I think that's fine. I didn't have any issues with that. Like I said, the combat gets really good. The music in the game, okay. The music for the game is, I know I don't have the game music at all in the background. It is very, what's the word that I'm looking for? It is, could actually hit the music there. Most of the time, it's very good and it's very fitting. But every now and then it starts playing something that sounds like you would hear from Mass Effect. It sounds very electronic, synth-wavy, and I'm like, what? I mean, it sounds good, but I feel like it doesn't really fit. So aside from that, I thought the music was really good. And yeah, man. And that's pretty much, how I feel about the game. I think overall, including the beginning of the game and everything, I think I would give this game still maybe like a 7.5 to an 8. Somewhere around there. Like, I'd be okay giving it still an 8 out of 10. Probably leaning more towards a 7.5, though. So here's what I'll say. If you're a fan of DAO, Dragon Age Origins, you gotta ask yourself why you're a fan of Dragon Age Origins. If you're going to want to play this game. I love Dragon Age Origins for the entire package. Story, gameplay, characters, everything. This game has the story and the characters. The gameplay is, so if a different, the fact that this game is an action game, but it has the continuation story, I say play it. Honestly, I think this game's really good. Overall, I think it's a really good game, like I said. So, take that as you will. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of the game. If you agree with my takes on it or disagree with my takes, we can have friendly discussions about it. Or what you liked about the game, what you didn't like about the game, what you hope to see in future installments. There's no DLC for this game. They're working hard on Mass Effect 5. But I hope the franchise continues. And yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel want to see more videos of my thoughts on things. And yeah, I'll be around. See you guys later. Peace.